Let's begin with something most people don't want to hear. You are not stuck, you are not unlucky, and you are definitely not as busy as you think you are. You are distracted, you are comfortable, and worst of all, you are passive. Most people don't fail because life is unfair. They fail because they choose the easiest version of every decision. Scrolling is easier than studying. Complaining is easier than building. Waiting is easier than acting. And then they wonder why nothing changes. The truth is harsh. Comfort is more addictive than success, and most people would rather protect their comfort than confront their potential. If that sounds extreme, good. It should. Because if you want to get rich, not just financially but in power, freedom, and control, you need to adopt a different lens. One that strips away illusion and replaces it with clarity. That's where two ancient schools of thought come in: Stoicism and Machiavellian strategy. One teaches you to master yourself, the other teaches you to master the game. And when you combine them, you get a brutal but effective framework for building wealth based on three principles: what the world needs, what you can do, how hard it is to replace you. Now let's break them down. 1. What the world needs. Wealth does not come from effort, it comes from relevance. You can work 12 hours a day at something nobody needs, and you will still be broke. The market does not reward how hard you try. It rewards how useful you are. This is where Stoicism forces you to confront reality. It asks a simple question: what is within your control? Demand is not within your control, but aligning yourself with demand is. Machiavelli would go even further. He would say, don't just serve demand, anticipate it, shape it, and position yourself where it's unavoidable. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people choose paths based on interest, not necessity. They ask, what do I like? Instead of what is needed. And then they're surprised when the world doesn't pay them. If you want leverage, you must operate where demand is strong, growing, and painful. Pain creates urgency. Urgency creates money. Look around. What problems are people desperate to solve? What industries are expanding? Where is inefficiency costing people time or money? That's where wealth lives, not in your passion, in your usefulness. This doesn't mean you abandon what you enjoy, but it does mean you stop pretending enjoyment alone has value. The Stoic mindset reminds you reality doesn't bend to your preferences. The Machiavellian mindset reminds you power comes from positioning. Find where those two intersect, and you're no longer guessing, you're calculating. 2. What you can do. Now let's assume you've chosen something valuable. That still doesn't make you valuable, because the second principle is your ability. And this is where most people fall apart. They underestimate how skilled they actually need to be. They aim for good enough. They settle for better than average. They avoid the discomfort of mastery. But here's the problem. Average skill in a high-demand field still leads to average results. Stoicism teaches discipline, repetition, endurance. It demands that you detach from immediate gratification and commit to long-term excellence. Machiavelli, on the other hand, teaches precision and advantage. He would tell you, don't just work hard, work in a way that makes you strategically superior. That means learning faster than others, practicing deeper than others, understanding the game better than others. Because ability is not just about effort, it's about focused, deliberate refinement. Here's the harsh truth. Most people don't lack opportunity, they lack competence. And competence takes time. Thousands of hours of uncomfortable, often invisible work. No applause, no validation. Just repetition and correction. This is where people quit. Because improvement is boring, and boredom is intolerable for those addicted to stimulation. But if you can endure it, if you can sit in that quiet grind while others chase dopamine, you start to separate yourself. Slowly at first, then dramatically. Your ability becomes undeniable. And once that happens, something shifts. You're no longer chasing opportunities. They start finding you. 3. How hard it is to replace you. Now we reach the most important principle, because even if you're skilled in something valuable, you're still replaceable. And if you're replaceable, your income has a ceiling. This is where Machiavellian thinking becomes essential. Power comes from scarcity. If many people can do what you do, you have no leverage. But if you create a position where replacing you is difficult, expensive, or risky, you gain control. Control over your time, control over your income, control over your direction. So how do you become difficult to replace? You stack advantages, not just one skill, but a combination of skills that rarely exist together. For example, technical ability plus communication, strategy plus execution, creativity plus discipline. Individually, these are common. Combined, they're rare. And rarity creates value. Stoicism plays a role here too, because becoming irreplaceable requires patience. It requires resisting shortcuts. It requires doing things most people won't sustain long enough to benefit from. There's also another layer: perception. Machiavelli understood that how people see you matters almost as much as what you can do. If you are seen as reliable, precise, and effective, you become the safe choice, and people pay a premium for certainty. So you don't just build skill, you build reputation. You become known for something specific, and over time, that identity compounds, until replacing you is no longer a simple decision, it's a risk, and risk is expensive. The reality most people avoid. Let's tie this together. To get rich, you don't need luck. You need alignment. Alignment between what the world needs, what you can do, and how hard it is to replace you. Miss one of these, and your progress stalls. Ignore all three, and you stay exactly where you are. Now here's the final truth, one most people will reject. This path is not exciting. It is not glamorous. It is not fast. It is deliberate. It is uncomfortable. And it requires a level of honesty most people avoid. You will have to admit where you are weak. You will have to confront how much time you waste. You will have to accept that improvement is slower than you want. But if you stay with it, if you apply Stoic discipline and Machiavellian strategy consistently, you begin to operate differently. You stop reacting and start positioning. You stop wishing and start building. You stop drifting and start directing. And over time, the results become unavoidable. Not because you got lucky, but because you became useful, capable, and rare. And in a world full of distraction, that combination is almost unstoppable. So the question is simple. Are you willing to give up comfort for control? Because that's the real trade. And most people have already made their choice. The only thing left is whether you make yours consciously or by default. If today's Stoic wisdom with a hint of Machiavellianism has resonated with you, like and subscribe for more. Thank you.